Good morning, everybody. John here at Havoc Maker Studio. Today, we're going to get into our top 5 villains for the Fantastic Four to make an appearance on the tabletop for Marvel Crisis Protocol from Atomic Mass Games. Now, before we get into it, yes, the Fantastic Four have yet to make it to the tabletop. I totally get it. We're just doing this in anticipation of it coming. And if you've seen the first and second of this series where I've talked about the Spider Foes, X-Men villains, we're kind of rolling through some of the major teams and heroes villains and the reason why we need villains. And the next episode is going to be, even though it's a short video with 5 characters, we are going to go into why a little bit more, why we need villains more than we need heroes. Now, before we get into our top 5, I got 2 orders of business I think you guys are going to be interested in to hear about. First up, if you are watching for the first time, or it's you're just one of my lovely continuing subscribers or viewers, if you have not hit that subscribe button down below, it's red, white, go ahead and click on it, and subscribe. And I'll tell you why in a moment. If you don't have an account, I know it sucks. I'm asking an awful lot. I know you hear from other YouTubers all the time. There is a reason that we need this from you guys. Take 1 to 2 minutes, create an account. Make sure you are not blocking my ability to contact you. The reason why I'm saying to do all this and to share this out to your local Facebook groups, your friends, family members, there might be content in here that they like, especially when we start doing movie reviews and television show reviews, is because every month or every few months, I do a giveaway. And the current giveaway is by the end of April, which is in 23 days. If I have 200 subscribers, which we are 8 away from, I'm going to give away some free product, which could include Marvel Crisis Protocol, Star Wars Legion now, and Warhammer 40,000 or Age of Sigmar. I've got the content. I've got the product to just give away to a random winner, but you got to be a subscriber. And the more subscribers we have, the more I give away. If we get over that 200, if we go say 50, I think I've kind of revised that. We get 50 over that, so 250, I'm going to do another one. We get to 300, I'll do a third one. If we get to 1 million subscribers, I'm going to panic because I got to find some way to get that much prize support. I don't think I can do it at that point, but the more that we get as subscribers, the more I give away to you guys. And that means doing double or triple giveaways in a month. I definitely will do that. I do have some resources, maybe not to handle 1 million subscribers. And I'd probably get in trouble from YouTube. They'd probably think I'm getting hit with bots. So please, no bots, but genuine accounts, family, friends. Even if it's not the type of content, if they just hit subscribe, they don't have to turn on that notification bell. It just helps me out and helps you out. So let's get into this. The second thing I want to talk about, you can see on the screen right here, is assembly diagrams. Now, Atomic Mass Games has 2 links, or really 2 pages, 1 link on their webpage. The first link takes you to their assembly page, but does not have all the build instructions. They have a secondary page called, whenever you go to their Atomic Mass Games webpage, so www.atomicmassgames.com/docs. DOCS, and I'll have that link in the comments or in the description below. That will take you to all of the assembly instructions. The reason why I mention this is because some people are having a hard time finding the instructions, especially in some of the most recent releases. There's no instructions inside of the box. All you're seeing inside the box is, hey, go, use your camera, use the QR code, or type in this address, and that is this right here. I would save it to your tabletop, your desktop, or your bookmarks, something so you can just go to easy reference in the future, especially if they're going to continue to do this with their product. I personally think, and I know we have at least one member of the Atomic Mass Games team that does watch my channel, that I think you guys should just get rid of the really glossy, fancy fold out instructions. Well, when you had instructions, just get rid of that. Don't include that anymore. Instead, follow an example of a lot of other ones. We already know you have a high quality product. We see it, we love it, but we don't need a high quality instruction booklet. Make a black and white one, put it as an insert, done deal. You guys will save a small fortune. And then you can invest that in some of these crazy ideas that I have for Marvel characters to appear in your tabletop game. So let's go ahead and get into the top 5. And now you might not agree with me, but this is my top 5 that I think we should see in here, or we could see. Now, this is going to be based on the current state of the comics, the video games, the MCU universe, and of course the cartoons, which are, I don't think there's any cartoons being produced right now. I think all those series are done. But when you take all these things and put them together, it creates it helps create a list of possible contenders for the tabletop. And then we have to look at current, will this make sense on the tabletop? Is it going to look good? Is it, we just rinsing and repeating somebody's power set here? There's a lot of factors that they have to take into account. But since I don't have to take that into account, I can just do this list based on a number of factors. So first up here is going to be ANNIHILUS. Now, if you're not familiar with who ANNIHILUS is, he is one of the oldest Fantastic Four villains. I think he appeared maybe 3 or 4 years after Fantastic Four dropped sometime in the 1960s. Now, he is he's a sentient insect. He's got lots of other enhancements about him going on, and some mutations. I know he's got some cybernetics, he's got mutations, he's got all sorts of tech and everything, but he is the ruler, or was the ruler, or is a ruler of the negative zone, which is said to be on Earth, but I think it's more like in parallel with Earth. It's just like Earth adjacent, or we occupy the same space. At any rate, the negative zone is where he resides with his massive armies. ANNIHILUS is a nihilist. He believes in his own survival. And because of that, he does a lot of naughty things. Now, over the years, he has proven himself to be not only the threat of the week in the comics, or the threat of the month, and when it was maybe a monthly series, he would eventually evolve into a threat to teams, a threat to the galaxy itself. He is now, I believe, branded as a universal threat after he's invaded our real space, I guess you would call it, versus the negative zone. He is a universal threat. He is a powerhouse. He is incredibly intelligent, and he has essentially an entire alternate galaxy full of followers. So he is a badass. Now, like a lot of these type of characters, he has a full range of superhuman physicality, so stamina, durability, agility, and strength and such. We know that he's on the low end of the super strong people, around 50 tons. And I know that the low end, Jesus, 50 tons, that's a lot. But we also know that he can boost his power up and rival the Hulk, right? So he is definitely a contender for the throne of who's the strongest. We know he can fly in both the atmosphere and in space. And in space, he can actually travel a lot faster because, well, he doesn't have wind resistance and such. Now, we don't know exactly what his powers are per se, but we know, and I think the thing that can lend itself to is that he has the ability to constantly be resurrected. He essentially will not die. Well, I mean, he dies, but he will be reborn. That is one of his big shtick in all of the comics, that he will constantly come back. So maybe that is his superpower. We know that he has an ability that can cause fear into others, and it even works on people like the Hulk. So that would be great to see on the tabletop. Of course, he's got stuff like hand-to-hand combat, some leadership abilities, advanced tech, weaponry, armor, the works. I mean, you tend to get that when you're a cosmic dictator. Now, his big piece of equipment you'll see below his jaw here, that big yellow pill type thing, that is actually the cosmic control rod. This does a variety of things for him. Some of the main ones is basically taking care of his health, so he got some healing abilities. He's not affected by a lot of environmental conditions, radiation, heat, cold. He can ignore disease. It boosts his strength, as I told you earlier, him to be able to go toe to toe with the Hulk, that sort of thing, fly through space, all these things. He can even do a variety of energy blasts. That's his one big thing, is his energy blast. And one of the comics, or at least one of the web pages, had talked about the strength of his energy blaster being the equivalent of 10 megatons. Go ahead and look up what 10 megatons looks like, or at least read the description to see how powerful that is. We know he's got a whole bunch of genetic engineering technology that he can, he's got all of his minions. He creates all sorts of creatures to work alongside him. So he would be a contender to have a base of grunts, just, I don't know, whatever sort of life form that he's most popular for having. And we've seen different variations all the way up back to the 1960s. So he's on top, or not on top, he's number 5 on the list of possibilities. I like the idea of him, but I'm just putting him at the low end for now. And the reason why is because there's more characters that I think would be better on the tabletop, like the Frightful Four. Now, the Frightful Four, you might be like, oh God, what have you done, John? What the hell is the Frightful Four? Okay, look, the Frightful Four is one of the oldest, I guess you can say, the oldest villain groups that have fought against the Fantastic Four. They're one of the original, if you will, opponents that he fought. Like I know I haven't brought up the Mole Man, and Mole Man is not on this list. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. But the Frightful Four has been around since, I would say, sometime in the second year or so that they had their comics, maybe the third year. So within the first few years of the Fantastic Four being out, these guys and gals had popped up. Now, the original team has changed over the years and has a very varied and storied roster. And in some case, some of those villains have different cross affiliations with the Criminal Syndicate, the Cabal, Spider Foes, and such. But right now, I just want to focus mainly on the original team. And of course, they can make adjustments after that. Now, the original team, you'll notice the lady here is Medusa. Yes, that is Medusa. That's already in the game with the Inhumans. She comes in the box with Black Bolt. She had a little bit of mind control going on there to have her fight alongside them. But she's already on the tabletop. We've got her. So there's one part of the Frightful Four taken care of. You'll notice Sandman in the back on the right-hand side that I talked about with the Spider Foes. And so if they bring him out for the Spider Foes, we've got another Frightful Four character right there. And some other ones, just honorable mentions for the Frightful Four, is Electro and the Beetle. Electro is another one that need to be out. Beetle is another one that should be in that list, or maybe in the top 10 list of Spider Foes. But we're not going to talk about that. Let's talk about the other two. Now, the gentleman floating in the background with the big dome is the Wizard. Now, the Wizard, I've mentioned before, he is in the Thunderbolts. He was a villain that pretended to be a hero. And then I think actually the Thunderbolts went on to be heroes. But the Wizard is basically he is a super genius when it comes to the other members there. Genius level intelligence, we're talking like physics, particle physics, work on different dimensions and stuff. He was a one-time wielder or host for the Carnage symbiote. So this guy has been kind of all over the place here. But his big thing is his suit of armor, and they just call it the wizard armor for some reason, but we're just going to go along with that. Now, the wizard armor, obviously it's a battle suit that he's created. It protects him, generates force fields. He has his wonder gloves. It basically his tech gloves that allow him to mimic the powers of the Fantastic Four, which is really cool. It's got some other things like some force blasts and some other things that you could imagine would come along with that, other defensive abilities and such. He's got anti-gravity disc. That's the reason why he's able to fly around. And he can also use those to as kind of an not anti-victim, but to incapacitate victims to really, I don't know how that works. I don't remember seeing that in comics, but we're talking 80 years worth of comics. I don't know everything about these characters. But we know that he's used it, and he's used it to move objects and such. He also, the armor allows him to do brainwashing. And that is part of the reason why that we had the very lovely and attractive messy hair Medusa side with him. Now, the gentleman in the center with the gun is not a controversial character, but just a funny character. I don't know if we'll actually see him appear. That is Paste Pot Pete. That's right, Paste Pot Pete. He's a genius, not like a super genius, but he is definitely a genius level character. He has a variety of tools and tech that allow him to do some fairly amazing things, but let's be honest here, he's kind of a joke character, and even in later years there's some lovely joke comics that he would participate in, or he'd pal around with Deadpool, kind of like Bob the Hydra agent, that sort of thing. Now, as I said, he is a genius of some sort. He is very intelligent when as like a chemical or a genius level chemist and inventor, obviously because he has his paste gun. Now, the paste gun is essentially a glue gun or like a glue flamethrower. Now, what makes it different is that he can use it to harden the glue, making it extremely durable, like virtually unbreakable, flame-proof, that sort of thing. He's also demonstrated the ability to use it similar to how Spider-Man uses his web shooters. He can shoot a stream of glue to swing on, let go, and then do it again, basically swinging around like Spider-Man. Now, maybe not with the same level of agility and the witty comebacks, but he definitely has something similar. I think it would be really cool on the tabletop because he can be doing a lot of basically incapacitating or temporary incapacitating villain or heroes and villains. We probably have some really good movement abilities, at least a medium wall crawler, if not long range wall crawler. Now, physicality wise, he's not all that great, but that paste gun really sets him apart. Like I said, he can make lassos out of it, build restraining walls, jam up equipment, all sorts of things. That it's just a cool gimmicky character, but I think would be really fun to see on the tabletop. But I realized that Frightful 4 is real, and one iteration there, the Frightful 5, might not seem like they should be higher on the list than Annihilus, but I think on the tabletop, this would be a lot more enjoyable and characterful and a lot easier to do and to also kind of you can get a couple affiliations out of this with the Inhumans, a crossover the Spider Foes, and then as a Fantastic Four anti-affiliation, because in one of my previous videos I talked about problems that Atomic Mass Games has in regards to villain affiliation and villain characters, and the considerable percentage difference between heroes and villains in their characters and affiliations. So check that video out. And I think the Frightful Four can be set up as an affiliation, because as more characters, villains come out, they have cross affiliations, and Frightful Four is one of those cross affiliations. Let's move on to our number 3. Super-Skrull. Okay, I don't think that's actually how he says it, but I'd like that idea. Okay, so Super-Skrull is a Skrull. Now, if you're not familiar with the Skrulls, they are an alien shape-shifting race. He has been a thorn in the side of the Fantastic Four since late 60s, early 70s, before I was born in 73, but he has been around, I think it's late 60s. So the Skrulls have popped up in the MCU, and of course, actually, they've popped up in the cartoons on Disney Plus. Now, the Skrulls in the MCU, you saw them in the Captain Marvel movie. We saw them in Far Away From Home, or whatever the second Tom Holland Spider-Man movie was, and we've seen them, or we know that they're going to be popping up in the Secret Invasion Disney Plus TV show, with Talos being recast in there alongside Nick Fury. So we know that they're definitely forefront in the mind, because we're going to need to start getting some aliens into the mix. Now, Super-Skrull, originally his powers were, brace for this, beamed from his homeworld to him while he was running around on Earth. And of course, Fantastic Four is like, oh, he's getting basically a Wi-Fi signal, so if we cut off his Wi-Fi, he loses his powers. Now, that's since been corrected, and he has essentially bionic receptors throughout his body that allow him to gather and channel cosmic energy. Now, the cosmic energy is the same thing that the Fantastic Four were induced with, that gave them their powers and abilities. So he has the ability now to constantly absorb cosmic energy and use his powers without getting the Wi-Fi signal from his homeworld, which, I mean, you have to admit, back in the 60s, we didn't really know what the hell we were talking about. But we've since fixed that. Now, why do we want Super-Skrull? One, if we bring in the Super-Skrull, A, he's a classic villain. 2, if we bring him in, he can have a grunt base of, well, Skrulls. And if you guys are interested, not only is Super-Skrull and the grunts available, but they're all available. Let's go with that. On C27 Minis and Terrain, I'll have that link in the description below, and you can also find them on some Etsy stores. They already got the miniatures. Somebody's already produced the miniatures, and they look fabulous. C27 Minis and Terrain, probably the best brand out there. At any rate, we're not here to talk about them. So Super-Skrull has all the abilities of the Fantastic Four, and he's able to use it in some cases in a more powerful or more imaginative way, because he's not restricted by the morals and ethics that we humans have. He's got his own viewpoint from his alien race, plus he's got his military training, and he is not a superhero or a supervillain. He is a soldier. So he is going to be able to do things like decapitating people or setting them on fire in certain ways that, say, the Human Torch or Invisible Woman would not consider. So we know that he can go toe-to-toe and fight and defeat the Fantastic Four until they turn off his Wi-Fi. Now that the Wi-Fi has been taken care of, he is even more of a threat. And even more so is you got a guy that has all the powers of the Fantastic Four, and he can use multiple powers at a time, as you can even just see in the picture right here. I mean, he could elongate his arm like Mr. Fantastic, make that arm rocky like the Thing and boosting his strength, and then set it on fire. I mean, there's so many different things this guy can do. And then when you put in his superior unarmed combat, his leadership abilities, because like I said, he was a military leader, or is a military leader. He has a very storied history of being a villain, to being a hero, to being an outcast, to being a hero again. When I say he's a hero now, I lose that term use that term loosely, he is currently running around with the Guardians of the Galaxy as a member of the Guardians of the Galaxy. So that gives you an idea of his, quote, hero status, but we want to look at him in his classic form as a villain. That's why I think he is perfect for being in this, in number 3 in the top 5 characters for the Fantastic Four. He has run into combat with other characters before, but Fantastic Four is what he's known for. Moving on, let's get to number 2. I'm still kind of mixed about this, but I have to include him in there, and I would really feel like he should be number 2. If he's going to be on this list, he should be number 2. This is Galactus. He is a universal threat, and he is a powerhouse unlike any other. He is rated at being more powerful than Odin, Zeus, even the Celestials. If you're not familiar with who the Celestials are, they've been popping up in the MCU and in the comic books quite frequently in the past few years. Now, the Celestials, in regards to Celestials, Galactus' strength, he has gone toe-to-toe with 4 Celestials and destroying one of them in the process. All right. Just think about that. He has gone toe-to-toe with 4 of them at once and defeated them, killing one of them. Now, he's not quite as powerful as, say, Death herself or Eternity, the Living Tribunal, or Infinity. These are like cosmic beings that are near level of the one above all, who is basically Marvel Universe's version of God. But he is a universal threat that makes Annihilus look like just, I don't know, just a bug on the wall or a bug on the windshield. So it's hard to rate his powers, but we're going to try to explain why we could see him in here. He is one of the oldest villains that the Fantastic Four have encountered, about a year or two after that their first issue came out, early 60s, I want to say, or mid 60s is about when he came out. This guy's immortal. His strength, his physical abilities are off the chart, literally, like, they're immeasurable. They're more off the chart than the Phoenix Force. When we were talking about Dark Phoenix in the previous video, he's got invulnerabilities out the wazoo. He can do energy blast. He can levitate. He can fly, teleport, force fields, create interdimensional portals, telepathy, telekinesis, cosmic awareness. He can grant the power cosmic to people like the Silver Surfer, Nova, and of course, I think Firelord is one of them. Terrax, I think. He can make ordinary people into basically OP characters. We're not talking like One Punch Man level, but pretty damn close. And he has another one where this is the reason why I think he could appear not only as a villain, but he's also been popping up in the comics a lot recently. And there's talks of him popping up in the Marvel Universe, at the MCU universe, but he also has size alteration ability. He can adjust how big or how small he is. Now, I don't think in the long run he would be great for the tabletop, but he definitely needs to be on this list. The reason why I say not on the tabletop is just the Contest of Champions level, Secret Wars level of setting the Marvel Crisis Protocol is really kind of set in, doesn't fit with Galactus' role in the Marvel Universe or his personality. But I wanted to at least include him on there because we know that he's popped up in some video games. He's going to be popping up in the zombie side, Marvel Zombies game that'll come out next year. So we know that he's available, but I'm on the fence about if he should be in the game or not. You guys let me know, especially when you take in his cosmic level powers and abilities, his ability to adjust size. Can we really, put him in the game? I mean, we're talking, this guy's more powerful than Dormammu. Okay, that's his level of power. I don't know, guys. I don't know. But I'm going to put him on that list because he is just absolutely balls crazy amazing. Now let's get to the number 1. And you guys probably figured out who this number 1 is, but I'm going to go ahead and reveal it right now. Dr. Doom. Yes, Victor Werner von Doom. He is the dictator, the leader, the ruler of Latveria, the kingdom of Latveria. Sorry, the monarch and supreme leader. Now you might be like, okay, well, definitely. He definitely should be number one. He is pretty much their number one villain for the Fantastic Four, and for a lot of other, I would say, other people out there like the Avengers. He's definitely crossed with the Avengers. Hell, he's crossed with Doctor Strange. He crossed swords with the X-Men at one point. So he's definitely a villain to like the one villain to rule them all. Now, what's not known is why I really want to have him on the tabletop more than anybody. And I'm going to tell you the why, though, because that's what I'm here for. So the Doctor Doom would be great for kind of three reasons. A, he is the number one villain really for the Fantastic Four and for pretty much any group out there. B, he can have Doom bots as a grunt base. Or three, you bring in his wife, which I believe her name is, or her character name is the Liberator or something along that lines. She's a powerhouse herself. You could always bring her in also and have her with the Doom bots, or all three of them, kind of like what we saw with Shadowland, Daredevil, and Elektra. I think it would be a great box. But if we don't count his wife and we just go with Doom bots and Doctor Doom, perfect box setup. Now, what are his abilities? Okay, he's got a super suit. Well, it's a little bit more involved than that. First up, Dr. Doom is a super genius. We're talking Tony Stark, Bruce Banner, Reed Richards level of intelligence. He's only limited really by his ego, which gets in the way. But okay, he's a super genius with a super suit. Let me get through this. Okay, so magic. He is a master of the mystic arts. Not only is he just a master of it, he is a candidate to be the sorcerer supreme of Earth. That is how powerful he is. He's learned from his mother of Romani and Latvian descent. He's also learned from Morgan Le Fay. He's learned from a bunch of demons. And well, he kind of crossed them in the wrong way and he got trapped in hell for that, but he still learned that power. He's got a vast array of mystical, magical abilities. So that right there already sets him apart from everybody else and puts him on par with some of the top characters, if not exceeding some of the top characters on the tabletop right now. He does have some limited psionic abilities, which would be cool to see if at least one of these take place, or maybe two of them take place on the tabletop. One is mind transference. He's able to, well, transfer his mind, take over somebody else's body, which could be a very cool ability. I don't know if we'll see it on the tabletop, but I think it'll be a cool ability. And of course, he has his technopathy. Now, the technopathy allows him, I call it telemechanics. I think they call it technopathy, but it's basically his ability to take over technology using his brain. And that's one of the great things about his Doom bots, because I could see some team tactic cards where he basically can go kind of like the Nick Fury Jr. Life model decoy card. He would have the same thing with his Doom bots. He can basically put out a bunch of tokens, and depending on which token is picked, he might take the damage, or the token is sacrificed for the attack. You'll have to take a look at that card that's coming out tomorrow. So beyond that, we know that this guy is a super genius. I mean, he is just absolutely bonkers crazy, amazing with his brain pan. Master of martial arts, master of armed combat, swordsman. We know that this guy's ego and his willpower is just right up there, enough that he will try to master everything. Peak human conditioning. We know that he is so well connected, and he's a charismatic leader. I mean, everybody knows him. I mean, the dude's got diplomatic immunity because he is the leader of a sovereign nation, guys. He would have a great leadership ability for the Cabal. So right there, we got another Cabal member. One of the Cabal members that we're definitely missing out on. Then we take into account his super suit, as some people like to call it. It's not really a super suit. It is a suit of armor similar to Tony Stark's. And in some cases, it is better than Tony Stark's. It has a lot of the same things that Iron Man's armor has. But once you start adding in other abilities that Tony Stark would ethically not include, we also get to toss in the mystical components that he has to fight vampires, to fight other mystics and spellcasters and stuff, because it's enchanted armor on top of that. This guy has pretty much every base covered. He's got the tech, he's got the powers, he's got the magic, he's got the genius to put him as a major threat on the tabletop. So I don't know if you guys think that Galactus should swap places with him, but I think Doctor Doom is the #1 villain out there for the Fantastic Four. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and please take the time, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, because I really want to be able to include you guys in the giveaway. And if you gotta hit a dislike on this video, I get it. Go ahead and hit the dislike button. I appreciate you at least watching it. And if you did hit that dislike button, put down in the comments below why you didn't like it so I can fix this. I can't fix it if you guys don't tell me what's broke. All right. And if it's because I'm not cute enough. Do I need to wear like a bikini next time? Do I need to do something with my hair? I don't care. Just tell me what it is and we'll go from there. And if it's because I got a big fat head, well, okay. Anyways, you guys have yourself a wonderful Thursday, and I will have the next video up in this series tomorrow. Make sure you check out part 1 and part 2 down in my video library. See you guys later.